It was a Friday afternoon in early March of 1978, and Pauline Burgette, everyone called her Robbin, made a decision that seemed small at the time. Her mother and her younger brother Chad were heading out of town for the weekend. Robbin was 16 years old, and she didn't want to go. She had a life in Phoenix, friends, a boyfriend she wanted to see, so she stayed behind. The plan was simple enough. She'd crash at a friend's place for the weekend, her mom would be back in a couple of days, and that would be that. Nothing about that conversation felt like the last one. The duplex sat near East 26th Place and McDowell Road in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a lower-income neighborhood then, the kind of place where people kept to themselves and trouble wasn't always loud. Robbin knew the area. She knew her neighbors. She'd walked those streets and felt like she belonged there, in the way teenagers belong to the places they grow up in. Not carefully, but completely. But on Saturday night, something shifted. She left her friend's house around 8 o'clock in the evening. She was going back to the duplex. She had invited her boyfriend to come meet her there. Nobody knows exactly what happened after that door opened. What we do know is that someone else came through a different door, the one in the back. And by the time her boyfriend left that night, Robbin Burgette was still alive. That much was confirmed. What happened after, in the hours that followed, is the question that has never been answered. Sunday, March 12th, 1978. It was Chad who found her. He was 11 years old. He walked into that duplex, into his sister's bedroom, and found her there. The room was in disarray. Her body showed signs of a violent struggle. She had been stabbed to death. She had been sexually assaulted. The front door of the duplex was locked. The back door was open and ajar. Whatever happened in that house, whoever came through that door did not want to be found coming in or going out. Take a breath and sit with what that scene meant for an 11-year-old boy. Chad Burgette carried that image for the rest of his life. He said it himself, decades later, that he lived with it every single day. He was the one who found her. He was the one who had to look at that doorway and understand what his world had become. He spent the next 45 years trying to find out who did it. Phoenix police responded and began their investigation. Forensic testing was conducted on Robbin's body, and what they found was significant. DNA evidence from not one, but 2 different unknown male subjects. 2. Robbin's boyfriend, whose name was never released publicly, was tested and cleared. He wasn't one of them. He has since passed away. The 2 unknown males whose DNA was recovered from her body have never been publicly identified, and as of the last known reporting, they have never been matched to any known offender. Her parents had divorced. Her father was not in the picture. Her mother, the woman who had been out of town that weekend, who came home to find her daughter was gone, died a couple of years later from natural causes. Robbin's family fractured and faded in the years after 1978. But Chad didn't. Chad held on. He kept asking questions. He kept reaching out to police, to journalists, to anyone who would listen. In 2016, he sat down for a local news interview and said plainly that it was time for whoever did this to answer for what they'd done. He wasn't angry in the way people expect. He was steady. He had been living with this for 38 years by then, and he was still showing up. The case was taken on as a cold case by Phoenix Police Department. A detective named Clark Schwarzkopf told reporters in 2016 that they had forensic evidence in the case and were looking for the right lead, the right path forward. That statement was made 9 years ago now. What has happened since is unclear. Whether new leads were pursued, whether additional DNA comparisons were made, whether anyone has ever been brought in for questioning, none of that has been publicly disclosed. The case remains open. The 2 unknown males in the DNA database have not, to anyone's public knowledge, been identified. Silent Witness, the Phoenix area tip line organization, listed Robbin's case and offered a reward for information leading to an arrest. That tip line is still operational. The number is 480-WITNESS. If you have information about what happened to Chad Burgette on the night of March 11th into the early morning hours of March 12th, 1978, in that duplex near McDowell Road in Phoenix, you can call anonymously. You can still tell what you know. Chad Burgette passed away in 2023. He spent his entire adult life trying to get someone to answer for what happened to his sister. He never got that answer. He went to his grave without it. That is the part of this story that doesn't get easier the more times you hear it. An 11-year-old boy found his murdered sister and spent the next half-century trying to find justice for her. He aged. He kept going. He died. And the two men whose DNA was left on Robbin's body are still, as far as we know, out there. Still unidentified, still unaccountable. Robbin Burgette was 16 years old. She had a boyfriend. She had a little brother who loved her. She worked to help support herself. She was a teenager in a hard neighborhood, making the kinds of choices teenagers make. Imperfect, ordinary, human choices. She decided to stay home for the weekend. She went back to the duplex on Saturday night. She let someone in, or someone let themselves in, and she never walked out. The back door was open. The front door was locked. The bedroom was in disarray. And somewhere in Phoenix tonight, the answer to what happened in that room in 1978 is still inside someone's memory, waiting to be told. If you know something, anything about Robbin's case, call Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS. You can remain anonymous. There is still a reward. There is still a case number. There is still time. Rest easy, Robbin.